division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another edition of Titans Global Podcast. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and with me, as always, is my buddy Link. What's up, Link?
What's going on, guys? Good to see everybody. Glad to be here. A little bit under the weather today. We're pushing through it. The best thing you guys can do to help is comment. We want to hear from you guys. The show is for y'all, so as always, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe, make sure to drop a follow. We want y'all on YouTube. So if you're not following us on YouTube yet, make sure you get over there, subscribe to that page. That's the best place to get our content. But let's jump right into this. Got a lot to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. And throw a comment down. We want you in the conversation. That's exactly what we're doing this for, is to get people involved in the conversation, involved in the show. That's why we do it. Tonight, we're going to talk about free agent acquisitions. We killed day one, and then we kind of slacked off a little bit, but I'm still happy with a lot of the signings. Day three, we killed it again, in my opinion, but we'll go over all that. First of all, I want to say we did sign 3 familiar faces. They keep the band together with the special teams, signing Morgan Cox and Nick Folk. Probably, in my eyes, one of the better two of the better signings we've made in the offseason. Really important we re-sign those guys. I was upset we let Aziz go, but I'd be more upset if somebody signed Nick Folk or Morgan Cox off our team. I'd be really upset.
Yeah, when it comes to current players, the Morgan Cox, the Nick Folk, and then releasing of Andre Dillard, those are probably the 3 biggest moves to me that screams the direction this team's going in, because you've got a solid kicker. You're putting faith in him. Morgan Cox has been just the epitome of efficiency and consistency. That's something that this team really needs going forward, is that consistency. And then the releasing of Andre Dillard, you took a hit on that in dead money, but I think that speaks to the direction that Rand wants to take this team, where it's like, hey, we want guys that are going to buy in. We want guys that are going to be successful. And then for him to release him, it just shows me that, he's all in on this one. And that's something that's kind of surprised me about the free agents this year, is it seems like they're in a kind of a win now mentality. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Now, do I think that they're trying to make Super Bowl competitive? No. I think, like a lot of, I don't want to say intelligent football people, because that implies that there's a lot of unintelligent football people, but people that I follow, that I trust their opinion a lot, and I kind of agree with them, that they're trying to get a fair assessment of Will Levis. What has he got? And to do that, we have to fix A, the offensive line, and B, we had to bring in a couple receivers at least of starter talent, in my opinion. 1 or 2 at the minimum. And we had to fix our offensive line, which means pretty much a whole new offensive line except for the left guard. I might be able to squeeze a little bit around right guard, right tackle. But other than that, no, we need every other piece there needs to be replaced. And so far, I think they've done a pretty darn good job of that. We saw last year with some of the bargain bin signings, I call them, that Rand Carthon made. Obviously, the one that didn't work out, Andre Dillard, big failed experiment there. But I'll get to that later on in the show because that's going to lead me into my end segment. So, also, I forgot to mention one familiar face that's coming back that a lot of people are upset about, but I'm actually pretty happy about it. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And I've said a lot this season that he's opened my eyes and kind of made me look at him a couple times in a different way. And I feel like a lot of other people probably had the same conception that I did, that he was, they kept trying to put him as a 2 or 3 wide receiver, and it made him look bad. It made us expect more of him, which we shouldn't have. It's unfair to him. But he did really well. He's been a really good, consistent ball player for us as a 4 or 5. And now I think he fits more into that slot of 4 or 5 on our team, which we also signed him for 4 or 5 money. So it's okay, really happy with that. You got anything to add about NWI, man?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I'm really happy with it. I mean, it's a 1-year deal. That's my understanding. I don't know if has anything come out official with money yet as far as what's guaranteed. And
yeah, there's been I think 3 or 4 contracts. The only ones we know of for sure is Kenneth Murray Jr. The specifics of NWI's contract and the very specific contract language of Calvin Ridley. We've got a lot of tidbits about it, but it hasn't been official yet.
Yeah, and then for me, I mean, obviously it is a team-friendly deal, and I was going to get to this point too, but I mean, we look at all these free agent signings now, and that this includes the what, to my understanding, it includes the NWI signing and the releasing of Andre Dillard, and Titans are still sitting at number 4 in cap space. So I mean, there's still a lot to go this offseason. I mean, it's not over yet, but yeah, for me, NWI, I mean, he's been a solid guy who's going to show up, and that's really what you're looking for in a number 4, number 5 wide receiver. He makes his way to the field. He's available every weekend. I mean, he missed a couple games this year, but up until that point, I think he had gone like almost 3 seasons where he was available every game. So yeah, I mean, that's what you're looking for. Now, do I want to see him rolling out there, taking, even 50% of the snaps this year? Absolutely not. I think there's better wide receivers out there when it comes to talent. But yeah, I mean, to have a guy like that in your back pocket who's able to just show up after week, that to me speaks volumes. So absolutely happy with the 1-year deal for NWI.
Yeah, my biggest thing is availability. I say that a lot. You have to be available to make any kind of stat. And NWI, if nothing else, has been available. And dudes like that friend that you got, you know your crew, your solid core crew. You usually got like 3 or 4 core crew guys. Usually there's 1 or 2 that's like your best buds or whatever. And then there's that weird guy that, you just kind of picked up in high school and just kind of stuck around and hung out long enough with you guys that you're just comfortable with him around. Y'all dog on him and shit, And, that's just what NWI is. He's the guy that just stuck around and has been solid. So I'm happy to have him. And so what I want to do with this tonight is I want to show the best, in my opinion, the absolute best signing to worst, in my opinion. So obviously, I think everybody's in the same thought that Lloyd Cushenberry is the best signing we've had so far. He had we gave him $50 million on 4 years. Let's see, it's like 26 guaranteed at signing. He only hits us for $6.4 million for this year. After that, it's like 14, 12, and 16.5 million respectively. So I mean, not huge, but look at the numbers. That's the numbers right there. 1,070 snaps. He only allowed 1 sack all last season. By the way, all these numbers are 2023 numbers. I'm not looking at anything other than 2023. There's a lot of players that didn't look so great on their 2023, but I still only held to that. 5 penalties, 73 PFF score. I don't really care about PFF, although they did rank him as the 3rd best pass blocking center and the 3rd highest overall grade for a center in the NFL. And might I point out the center that we used to have, Aaron Brewer, 32nd in pass blocking. So we literally got from 32nd to 3rd. Andy 6'4", He's like right under 300 pounds. So he's a big dude. So no more of getting pushed around. No more standing behind a little guy. He's big. He's nasty. And he's actually got a really good anchor and good upper body violence. I love that saying. So I'm thrilled all the way around about Lloyd Cushenberry. I'm not going to call him that, by the way. He said in one of his interviews, call him Cush. That's his nickname. I absolutely love that. We have some Cush in Tennessee now. You got anything to add to that, Link?
No, I agree. I think when it comes to a staple on your offense, and especially your offensive line, I mean, everything kind of starts with the center. The center to quarterback relationship has to be good. They have to be on the same page together. Everything kind of starts there. And to me, what I really like, and I think I touched on this a little bit last week on the show before this signing even happened, what I really like about Cushenberry is it was kind of trial by fire from him. He came into the league in 2020. He was immediately made a starting center. He struggled a little bit early, but he kind of found his footing. He found his way. There's been a few knocks on him as far as his run blocking and kind of some of his gap fits. But, the big thing is his pass blocking far, far outweighs that. And to me, that's what we need. I think that this speaks again to Callahan and Rand trying to kind of turn this thing around into a pass first offense. And this just adds to that. So yeah, I mean, for me, Cushenberry was a huge signing. He's a young guy. I think he's 26 years old. So this could be your center for years and years to come. And you've got him on a pretty good deal, on a pretty team friendly deal. But yeah, like you said, good anchor, good hands, good size. I mean, it's night and day to what we saw in Brewer. And I just feel like this is one more step towards keeping Will Levis upright and allowing him to hit some of these receivers like Hopkins, like Ridley, because it all starts there at that line. So for me, I would agree. This is probably the biggest signing so far for me.
Yeah, man. I don't know who put it out. I can't give any particular Twitter account credit because on Twitter, everything just gets reposted a million times. But they had a picture of the Will Levis where he's bent backwards over the guy's leg and he's like grimacing in pain. And they literally had that picture up with Lloyd Cushenberry breaking news. And I was like, man, whoever put those two together is a freaking mad genius, because that's exactly why I was so hardcore on offensive line. We have to get it fixed. If we want to do anything, it's got to get fixed. It's where it starts. And that's why he's my favorite signing. A lot of other people would say my number 2, which is, everybody should know, Calvin Ridley. I mean, why not, man? Why would you not love this signing? The only thing you might not love about this signing is the money. And if the money bothers you, then just understand that it's free agency. Everybody gets overpaid a little bit. Was it a massive overpay? No. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, he's 30 years old and you locked him up for 4 years. Well, yeah, but you got to understand he was out of the NFL for almost 2 years. Solid. And then he came back on a Jaguars team and pulled down 1,100 yards in receptions. 10-16, 8 touchdowns, 76 yards, 13.5 yard per reception. That's the one that stands out to me. Not only that, 17 games played and started. Availability. That's something that even, I don't like to knock D-Hop because he was fantastic for us, but that's the only knock I would have on D-Hop if I had one, was the fact that he's just not always available for us. But Calvin Ridley looks like he's going to be a solid player. Not only that, I feel like they're going to move him around a lot, sometimes on the outside, sometimes on the inside, and that's when he's most effective, when he moves around in an offense. So I really love this signing because he can stretch the field, and Will Levis loves to put it up in the air. Great signing. Anything you want to add to that, brother?
Yeah, no, I was a little torn on this when the signing first came out, and the money really didn't scare me as much as hey, it seemed like they were going all in on this as wide receiver too. And some of the issues coming out of Jacksonville were a few drops. Jacksonville fans, from what I've seen, they kind of felt like he would disappear at times. but then he comes in against the Titans and has 2 huge games against the Titans. And I feel like that's what a lot of people remember most about Ridley from last season. But when you're talking about age, and I think what sold me on him was the interview that he did. One of the first things he said was, "This is going to be a hard interview for me because I'm very honest." And I love that. And there's a lot of people that don't have confidence in this guy, and he's not one of them. I mean, he has a lot of confidence in himself, and that's what you need at that wide receiver position. He even said, I'm 29 on paper, but probably more like 25 for real. The 2 years off, they helped, but I can with the youngest, and I love football. And, you got to remember too, another thing that really sells me on him is there are reports that he had at least 2 other teams, one of those being Jacksonville, where he could have made a little bit more money. And people don't like the price tag the Titans put on him, but there were other teams that were going to pay him more, and he kind of chose to come here. He said the money had a little bit to do with it, but a lot of it was comfortability. And I think that speaks volumes to who we have here in Tennessee as a quarterback.
Yes.
I mean, he knows DeAndre Hopkins is on the other side. He knows he can take pressure off of him, and he knows that Will Levis can get him the ball downfield. And that, to me, says that he's bought into this team. And that's the main thing I want to see in the free agency period is I want to see people that are buying into the team. I don't want to see people coming here for money. I know money plays a huge factor. And hey, if I was an NFL player and somebody offered me $100 million versus $50 million, obviously I'm going to take the $100 million deal. But what I do want to see is people come in and the money plays a part in it, like he said, but he is bought into the team. That's what you need in these guys. That's what you need to build a culture. That's what you need to build a locker room. That's what you need to build a win mentality. So, yeah, I mean, the more that I dive into it, the more that I look him up, the more that I listen to this guy talk, I'm really loving this signing. And for me, I think that's second most important when you can kind of interchange that and Cheeto. I mean, I'm curious to see what he does on the football field, and I want to see him clean some things up. But so far, I'm very happy with the signing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Couldn't say it any better. And I love that you brought up Cheeto. First of all, I love that he came in and just said, "Just call me Cheeto," because my God, I don't want to have to try to pronounce that dude's name every single week, man.
Hey, we got Kush and Cheetos out here in Nashville. It's about to be a dangerous year.
That's right, man. And what goes better with Cheetos Kush than Cheetos? Or the other way around. Either way, they complement each other very well. We all know it, especially those flaming hot Cheetos. Oh my God.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry, I got off on a tangent. Cheeto, 3-year, $36 million, 23 guaranteed. Now, he doesn't have the most flashy stats, especially last year. This is one of the guys I was talking about when I said I stuck true to my guns and only talked about 2023. Because if I did talk about 2022, his stats would be banging. Especially if I left out 2023 and just went with 2022. He did struggle a little bit. He was coming off of an injury, though. That's something people got to understand. He was coming off an ACL injury. There was somebody, I think it was Tic Tac Titan, who was talking about his advanced metrics or whatever. And after week 11, this kid's stats was insane in 2023. Now, I'm not going to pull strings or anything like that, but everybody knows that ACLs, MCLs, soft tissue, really bad soft tissue injuries, it takes a while to get over that. It really takes a long time to get back to your full form where you're trusting it again. Some people never recover from that, but the ones who do usually takes somewhere around 18 to 20 months, which, if you remember, Harold Landry started coming on second half of the season, finished really strong. And that's exactly what this dude did. Exact same thing. He was coming off the ACL injury. Took him a little while to get back into the groove. But once he did, oh, man, he is a special dude. And I really feel like we probably need to sign at least one more corner in free agency, even if it's not a starting quality, even if it's a backup. And we probably need to sign a safety too. And there's not a whole lot of those left. So we're still not great in the cornerback situation. But Cheeto helps a lot. I mean, a lot. He's a true number one outside cornerback. He's like 6'1". He's got 4.5 speed. So this is not Sean Murphy bunting. This is not Christian Fulton. And who knows, man? Christian Fulton, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I hate to say it because I hate to give this guy any more chances, but I swear, if anybody can get anything out of Chris Fulton, maybe it's Wilson. Maybe he's the rain man when it comes to these cornerbacks and defensive backs. I would love it. I would love to see him finally live up to his first round potential, but I don't think he will. But that's why I want him to get one more on a free agency. Man, you got anything to add to Cheeto?
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Going back the last few years, this guy was a solid number one corner for the Bengals. And then up until that ACL injury. And I mean, he was doing it. He was their number one outside cornerback. He was getting paid about $7.25 million annually. You got him on a $12 million average, contract for this year. So, I mean, I don't feel like you super overpaid for him. And let's remember, I mentioned earlier, you've still got a lot of room to play with in this offseason, and you've still got guys out there, Kendall Fuller. I don't know how sold I am on him, but Stephon Gilmore. I mean, you've got other guys that you can still go get. So do I think that he's going to be the kind of CB1 by the start of the season? Maybe. Do I feel like there are other guys with the salary cap you have that you could put around him that you can pick up in free agency? Absolutely. And, we talk about the receivers and we talk about how they can kind of play off each other and take pressure off that. Same thing with corners, same thing with safeties. If you can get a solid group of guys that mesh well together, you can take, I'm going to use a college reference. You can take 3-star players and make them look like 5-star players because they know how to play with each other. So to me, this was a huge one. I do feel like there are still some pieces in the secondary that they have to get worked out, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. I love the signing of Cheeto here.
Absolutely, man. And that's why he hit my number 3. Not only that, to be honest, it's almost a good thing he got hurt as far as we go. Just because, I said just a minute ago that almost everybody gets overpaid in free agency. That's just how it goes. But we actually probably underpaid for Cheeto for his real production if he lives up to the production that I think he will and the 2022 production that he had before his injury, which I totally think he will get back to. So I feel like that's a really solid signing by Rand. Really, 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 really nailed it right there. Super happy about that. Again, still need some cornerback help. Definitely need some defensive back help, period. I think Marcus May is probably my number one. I don't know. Is Cam Curl still out there? I don't know. If he's still available, then Cam Curl's probably my number one. Man, by the way, I went and watched some tape on him because of you. And my God, that kid's magical, man. I mean, he's just in the right place at the right time, it seems like. He shows up, dude. It's crazy. I would not mind at all to have that kid on my team. Rumor is he wants a lot of money. But as the days tick by.
So this one's going to hurt. He did sign a 2-year deal.
Oh, crap.
He signed with the Rams. They got him for $8.75 million for the first year.
For 2 years? Oh,
they got him $8.75 million the first year, and then it goes up to $12.75 the second year. But that's a 2-year deal. That's not bad at all. And I mean, you could argue that that's pretty much a more team friendly deal than you just got Cheeto for. So yeah,
he did make more than Geno Stone, though. And I don't know that I would have paid him any more than Geno Stone.
Yep.
Because I was pretty high on Geno, too.
Yep. I agree. But I would have loved to see Cameron Curl in two-tone blue. I mean, that dude, like you said, he's just right place, right. It reminds me a lot, not even the play style, just the ability to be where he's supposed to be and make plays when it's needed reminds me a lot of kind of the Kevin Byard type of. Yeah. I mean, that's what we got used to with
opportunist, KB. Man. Yeah.
Just always there at the right moment. So yeah, I would have loved to see it, but I still think there's some guys, like I said, there's still some guys out there that I feel like you could go get that could be a huge part of the secondary. But like I said, good step in the right direction with Chidobe.
Yeah, definitely. And then we'll move on to my third best signing, in my opinion. And this one was really tight. I had it down between 2 players, and you'll see when I throw up my fourth, but I'll probably get a lot of ridicule for that one, but it's okay. But my third best signing was the guy we got on the first day. Tony Pollard A lot of people not happy about us signing this guy, and I really don't understand the flack that this guy is getting. Multiple 1,000-yard seasons, 2 back-to-back. Said I was only going to talk about 2023, so I am. 1,000 yards last year on 252, 6 touchdowns. You see that stat on the end, though? 819 yards after contact. He was third in the NFL. You know who he was right behind? Derrick Henry, who was number 2 with about 29 more yards. So I'm pretty happy with that, first of all. Second of all, 819 yards after contact. We're excited about Tyjae Spears. He barely got like 840 all-purpose yards. That's his receptions included. So I'm really happy about the Tony Pollard deal. He runs hard, and he's a lot like Tyjae, except in my opinion, he's a little bit heavier. He's a little bit taller, so he runs a little bit, stouter. But other than that, he's quick. I think he's like a 5-speed, 540, something like that, a 5.040, somewhere around that. And like you see, he's really good after contact. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a good deal. And just like, the issue with Derrick Henry, and I want to say I'm really happy for him. He looks genuinely happy at the Ravens. And I hate that he went to the Ravens. But to be honest, that's who I was hoping he was going to. I know this sounds stupid because I'm arguing with myself, but I'm just being real, man. I want the best for him, and his best chance of winning a Super Bowl ring is with the Ravens. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen. And they're talking about a deal right now with a trade for Debo. And if they get Debo on the Ravens this year with Derrick Henry, and oh my God, man, that team's going to be stupid ridiculous. But I digress. I'm not going to talk about Derrick Henry anymore. Point is, really happy with Tony Pollard. We signed him for 3 years, $24 million. Not bad. I mean, I think he's counting about $8 million average on the. That's one of the ones I think that the contract still not 100% out. I don't know. I haven't got to see all the contract deals yet. I didn't get to look much up today because it was Friday and I work at a mechanic shop and we were busy. Oh my God, we were busy. So by the time I got home and got, sit down, it was like 8:30. So anyway, Tony Pollard, any thoughts, Link?
Yeah, so the numbers that I'm seeing that came out were 3 years, $7.25 million average a year, 10.5 guaranteed. And to me, that's not crazy when you're talking about what I think they're going to try to make him here in Tennessee. He did struggle a little bit when he kind of took over for Zeke in Dallas. I mean, he was one of 3 running backs playing on a franchise tag at the time. But this isn't a guy that they're going to roll out there and feature every down. I mean, you've got this is a guy that's going to come in that can play off Tyjae. They can go, kind of some split back stuff. I feel like the opportunity is there for him to make a splash as that number 2 running back. I would not be happy with this signing if you were looking for a number 1. I would say going into free agency, Tony Pollard was probably 4th on my list. I was looking at guys like Gus Edwards, A.J. Dillon, Zach Moss, kind of that Derrick Henry-esque runner. And you don't necessarily have that in Pollard, but what you do have is a guy whose feet is always moving. And that's one thing you've really got to look at when it comes to running backs. When he runs into a wall, his feet don't stop. He's going to keep driving forward. He's going to keep trying to pick up the first down. You can see that he plays with a tenacity, kind of in the same way that Tyjae Spears does. I mean, he's not the biggest guy out there, but he's going to make you feel it if he runs into you. Again, I like the direction. I think that he can be utilized in the pass and the run game. I think he can come into some third down situations. I think he can play with Tyjae. I think they can both be in the backfield. I think we might see some of that. I'm curious to see what Callahan does with him. Curious to see what they scheme up for him. But yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I would, and I'm with you. I think this would probably be about my 4th favorite, my 4th most important. So we'll see what happens. But I've still got faith in it. Still got some faith there.
Yeah, man. I'll be honest with you. After we signed Pollard, and I defended Pollard and said, I don't know why everybody's tripping about this, blah blah blah. I think it was the day after we signed Pollard, Aaron Donald gets released. I was so angry, dude. I was like, oh my God. Why didn't we just wait, man? Because Aaron Donald would have been, whoo, man. Could you imagine Tajay and Aaron Donald? But hey, like I said, I'm not upset, mainly because when people saw us roll out Henry, everybody thought the exact same thing. Oh, they're going to run the ball. And sometimes we get to use that to our advantage in the play action. But let's be honest, if you play action 70% of the time, people aren't going to bite on that anymore. So you were kind of stuck. And if you got another big thumper like Derrick Henry, you were going to be stuck doing the same thing. So I don't know. I kind of like this signing because it's like, whoever's on the field, you got about the same tenacity coming at you. Like you said, Pollard's feet don't stop moving. We know what we got in Tajay. Tajay's a beast, man. I mean, if you haven't got on YouTube and checked out the Tajay Spears highlights, part 1 and 2, you got to, even if you skip part 1, whatever. But even if you skip part 1, watch part 2. When he starts getting in, after about halfway through his season and he started picking up and progressing, whoa, man, he skyrocketed. He took off. That's when he started taking some of Derrick Henry's rushing attempts away from him. That's when my boy Link over here was on top of it all and was like, bro, why you wanting Henry to do this? You need to be looking at this dude. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. It broke my heart, but he was right. And it made the signing a little bit easier for me. Like I said, I was happy to see that Derrick Henry was happy. So, and because we have Tajay is the only reason I was able to do that, because I was like, it's all right, man. We got Tajay. And even if something happens with Tajay, now we got Pollard. So, which is a lot like Tajay. So, I mean, and Chestnut, I don't want to leave him out. Chestnut was balling last year before he got hurt. So, my dude Chestnut might show up and just make everybody go dang. So yeah, Tony Pollard. My fourth favorite is the one I'm going to take the most flack for, and I'm ready for it. Y'all come with the heat. It's cool. And I'm going to have a hard time. Saahdiq Charles, I think is how you say his name. Just because I don't know how to say the dude's name. Doesn't know I haven't looked the dude up. I watched some tape on this guy, and he is not bad at all. And look at the numbers up there. 643 snaps, 4 sacks, only 3 penalties. Not one Titans offensive lineman outside of Sko, and I think Sko had 4, could say that they only allowed 4 sacks on 643 snaps. Some of them couldn't even say 4 sacks on half the snaps. So, yeah, no, and we got him for like 1 year on $2.5 million or something like that. Yeah, 1 year, $2.5 million. How do you not like this signing? Not only that, we have Bill Callahan. He's like the freaking rainmaker. Well, not rainmaker. What's the Rain Man?
Rain Man. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. He's like the Rain Man of offensive linemen. He is better than Mike Munchak as an offensive lineman coach because of what we want them to do. He can get the most out of their player. Look at the Browns, man. Look at their offensive linemen. They're not that good. It's just that he was there and he made them better. And you know what? That's why this kid came here. He was drawn here. So was Cushenberry. Both Cush and Charles both come out and said, the reason I came here was because of Callahan. And he can make me the best offensive lineman I can be. He can take me to that next level and put me up get me to my A potential. Are you kidding me? Our coaches are already pulling players, y'all. And that's why he's probably going to start as the right guard. I'm just throwing it out there. Unless we get somebody in the draft, or we get 2 bookend tackles or something like that, which, oh my God, then we don't have any wide receiver help. So I think that's a terrible idea. But my point is, I still think he's probably the starter at right guard. And I don't think it's a bad start.
Yeah, no, I can see it. And to your point, what this screams to me is competition. I mean, you're talking about another young guy. He's 25 years old. You just brought in Kush, who's 26. I mean, you're getting in these players that are going to push each other. Because I mean, NPF's still here, right? So I mean, this is kind of a look at him.
We got MPF and we have Jalen Duncan, who I still think could form into a great right tackle. He's gigantic.
Yep.
And right tackles are primarily just keeping the edge guys off. So, I mean,
absolutely. So, I mean, you're bringing in these young guys and looking at these older guys that have been here and saying, hey, your job's not safe anymore. I mean, this is not Mike Vrabel's team. This is not John Robinson's team. We're bringing people in who are going to push you. They're going to challenge you. And when the time comes, we're going to start the best guy. So, I mean, that's kind of my main takeaway with that signing with Charles is just bringing in a younger level of competition that you can develop and that's going to push the guys that are already in that locker room. And that's what I love about that signing.
Yes, absolutely, man. And like I said in the beginning of the show when I was talking about Kush, we've got to fix our offensive line. I mean, I don't care if we got to throw the majority of our, well, no, I guess we couldn't throw the majority of it because we already threw that at Ridley. But the point is, I don't care if we throw the majority of our chunk of money at the offensive line in free agency. I'm not even going to be upset if we still pick an offensive tackle. That's what I want, actually, is to pick an offensive tackle in the first round. A lot of people are saying they want Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze or there's a couple other people out there. I wouldn't be upset with that. I'm not going to be mad if we walk away with Malik Neighbors and then get Patrick Paul or whatever that dude's name is from Houston. I'm not going to be upset with that. But that's not my wish. My wish is to get Alter Fashanu in the second round, try to snag up somebody that falls off the first round because there is a lot of wide receivers. They're really deep, and I feel like you can get a second-round guy that can come in and be a number 3 that can take our team to the next level, and I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll say the 3 names I'm looking at when it comes to the rest of the offensive line, it looks more and more like Alt is going to be there at 7. The Chargers just got rid of their 2 best receivers. So, I mean, it's looking like they're probably going to take a receiver at their spot, which is going to leave that tackle position open because you've got other people taking quarterback. I mean, it seems more and more like Alt's going to be there at 7.
Yeah, Patriots taking quarterback.
Yeah, and I don't think you can pass up on that. But that being said, you do have 2 other names out there that are still in free agency if nothing's changed. You've got Trent Brown, who's still available, and you've got Tyron Smith. Trent Brown, he has that experience at left and right tackle, so that'd be somebody who could come in. He could possibly make a difference right away. I don't know what kind of money he's looking for. Probably a little bit less than Tyron Smith, if I had to guess. So I don't know. I mean, you've got a guy in Tyron Smith who's 33. I don't know if you want to take a shot on that. I know we're in win now mentality, but if I could get a younger player who's going to be here for years and years to come, kind of like Skoronski, I don't know that you can pass him up at 7. And like I said, it's looking like he's going to be there. So for me right now, that's kind of the direction I would go.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's really what it's all about.
Yep.
Skoronski is 1 year into his rookie contract.
Yep.
If we could lock up the left side for 4 years and both of them can grow and mature right next to each other, I mean, man, that's beautiful. That's like, what was the tackle tandem we had? It was Taylor Lewan and what's that dude's name? We ended up not trading. We ended up letting the other dude go. Conklin? Jack Conklin?
You had Conklin there. That was when Undertaker was here for a little bit. That was Dennis Kelly.
Stewart, maybe?
Dennis Kelly. You had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I know what you're referring to. Yep.
Yeah. We drafted them like literally boom, boom, year after each other. And we had the 2 best tackles in the NFL for like 2 years once they matured. And it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. And Yeah, dude. Now that we got Cush, I feel like we might have the right guard. I feel like we already might have the right tackle on the team, but not saying we shouldn't go out there and try to get some extra guys. But you know, I don't know. I think things are starting to look up for the offensive line. So diving right into my next one, and this honestly was a hard pick for me because there's only two guys left that, you know, there's only two guys left. And both of them I kind of shook my head at when I first saw them. My instant reaction, and then it happens this way in the draft too, because my instant reaction to Will Levis was not happy. But once I, thought about it for a while and slept on it for a couple weeks, saw him in training camp, I changed my tune pretty quick. So, maybe the same thing will happen with these guys, but I don't know. But not last, it's Mason Rudolph. I know you can laugh at me. It's okay. Everybody can laugh at me, man. I don't mind. My point is, and this is my big point here. This was 2023 numbers again. Not going to show any numbers, but 2023. He had 4 games, started 3 of them, 55 for 74, 719. Look at that 74% completion rate. I know. It was like 9 yards per. I didn't put that stat up there. Did you notice that? But 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Do I think it's a good signing? No, it's not a great signing, especially not for $3 million, I think, or $3.5 million. I don't remember. I quit looking at numbers because they were giving me headaches. But my point is, if the worst happens and Will Levis goes down, can this guy come in for 2 or 3 games, maybe win a couple of them for us, or at least manage to win a couple of them? Can he? I think so. That's why I like it. Because who else was going to come in? The only other quarterback I was even looking at as far as backup quarterbacks go was Dobbs. And I'm still kind of scratching my head as to why no NFL team wants to give. I mean, that dude must hard to get along with person in the world, because he walks onto teams and picks up their plays like it's nothing, plays well, handles pressure well. He's smart as hell. So he just must be the most hard to get along with odd dude in the world, because no NFL team wants to work with the kid. So whatever reason that may be, the only 2 quarterbacks I was looking at, and I was considering this guy, just not that much money. I was thinking of him somewhere around $1.5 million. But again, it's free agency and you always overpay. And look, man, I'm just trying to make it look good. You got anything, Link?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be real with you. Looking at the quarterbacks coming out in free agency, I think Mason Rudolph was probably your cheapest one. I really believe that, because, I mean, if you look at the names, I mean, obviously you've got the top guys. You've got Winston, you got Brissett, you got Minshew, you got Tyrod Taylor, you got Sam Darnold. The only other guy that I would have probably gave a look to was maybe Drew Lock, but I feel like even he would have wanted a little bit more money than what Mason Rudolph was looking for. But even guys like Tyler Huntley, Josh Dobbs, I mean, these guys are a little bit more. I don't even want to say they're more proven, but they've had more success than what I feel like Rudolph has had. Now Rudolph came into Pittsburgh. I mean, he held his own. He did an okay job, but I mean, they were on a carousel there that just never seemed to work. So I think he knew that his best interest was to get a fresh start somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, looking at the numbers again, I feel like he was probably one of, if not the cheapest option on the free agent market when it came to quarterback. So I don't hate it. I would rather see him out there than Malik Willis with what I think this offense is going to be. So, I mean, that's my personal opinion. But, yeah, I mean, it could have been worse. I'll put it that way. Could have been a lot worse.
Exactly. And that's really my point, is it could have been worse. I mean, my number one option, obviously, before anybody was signed, was Tyrod Taylor.
Yep.
Because I feel like Tyrod Taylor is a big arm. He can come in, serviceable backup, but man, he got way more money than I wanted to. And that's the thing. You got to think that we're trying to rebuild a team here. And we're not really trying to win right now. We're really trying to see what we got in Will Levis. So if Will Levis goes down with like a bad injury early this season, that's like the worst case scenario, period. But if he does, then we need to at least salvage what we can of the season with a serviceable backup quarterback. And that's what Mason Rudolph does. I think go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I completely agree there, and I feel like Willis just doesn't fit into the scheme that Callahan wants right now, and because of that fact, you've got to get a guy in here like Rudolph who kind of has similar intangible. I mean, when you look at Levis and you look at Willis, it's night and day. When you look at Rudolph, it's like, okay, he can be a system quarterback. He can come in, he can stand in the pocket, he can make throws. He doesn't get that deer in the headlights look and take off running like Willis does. So to me, this just says, hey, Willis is on this rookie contract. He's going to be our emergency QB. We wanted to get a guy in here who could kind of do the same thing as Levis. That to me is all this signing really was, if the worst case scenario happens, which fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever you got to do, we do not want that to happen.
Yeah, come on now. By the way, that was something else that I thought was really funny. I don't know if you noticed this, but they hired the pros fitness. They hired that guy.
Yep.
The day of tampering one, when they announced that they're getting Cheeto and they're getting Kush and they're getting Todd. Oh yeah, or Tony Powell. Oh yeah, by the way, we hired the new athletic trainer guy.
Oh.
Don't pay attention to that guy. I thought that was hilarious how they just kind of swept that one under the rug, tried to slick it in there where nobody would pay attention. I saw it, Titans. So anyway, yeah. And also another thing the thing that really rung out to me, and the reason I was even considering Mason Rudolph as a backup, was his release. You look at his release time; it's a very, very quick release. You look at Will Levis; he's got an amazingly quick release. Man, it's much better than Rudolph's, but that's why he's the backup. But the point is, look at Malik Willis's release. It's like a 3-second release, bro. I mean, like it takes forever to throw the ball. So if someone's in his face, it's going to be really hard for him to get that out. Much harder than it is for, say, Mason Rudolph or obviously Will Levis. So that's what you're talking about. That's what you're saying. He doesn't fit in our system. So I say, yeah, unless you're going to use him like, what's the dude's name that plays for the Saints?
Oh God. As soon as you said that, I was like, I'm going to forget this guy's name.
I know, right? I did the same thing.
I
could say his name like a million times because I've talked about him so much. But he's like the all-around great player. He's like a tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. But Taysom Hill. Thank you. Taysom Hill, yeah. But anyway, that guy, unless you're going to use Malik Willis like that and, Brian Callahan's some kind of guru or something that he can use as gypsy magic and just turn Malik Willis into a great offensive weapon, then I think Malik Willis's time here is probably spent.
Look, if the best gadget offensive coordinator in the league couldn't do it last year, I don't see anybody doing it this year.
All right. That is a very good point there because, yeah, you say what you want to about Tim Kelly, but he had some amazing gadget plays. And they always seem to work. Well, almost always.
Yeah, that was a little bit of low-key shade and also a little nod to him, I guess. Whatever. I'm just glad that experience is over.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, my God. What was that, a 3 flea flicker to the – that was nuts, dude. I can't believe that crap worked. I can't believe somebody didn't just get hammered by a defensive lineman. But, hey, it worked. Anyway, let's stop talking about the past. Today's all about the future.
There we go.
And my least favorite signing, although I'm still not hugely unhappy with it, but my least favorite signing is Kenneth Murray Jr. as our linebacker. This leaves a major hole for me. With Azeez, you had, starter 1 locked down. All right. So you needed like a B starter or whatever you want to call it. This is your B starter right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we've got, and really he's a sack specialist. If we want to get down to it, he's an inside linebacker sack specialist who also does decently against the run. Although he gets lost in his lane sometimes and runs into people, which is never a good thing. But he's freakishly fast, freakishly athletic. His RAS score, I'm probably sure, is just ridiculous. I'm sure it's like a 9.78 or a 9.89, like a lot of Rand's favorite players. But 2 years, $18 million is not insane, especially not when you consider, 84 tackles isn't terrible. 7 tackles for loss, 1 interception. He had 3 sacks. For an inside linebacker, that's pretty good.
The money doesn't bother me. It's the production for me. I don't feel like this was. You had a lot of guys on the market, and now if you had a kept Azeez and brought in a guy like this, okay, I can get that. But going into next season, I feel like this is going to be a glaring issue. I think this is probably your worst positional group right now, and there's not a lot of ways to fix it. I mean,
there's only one, and we let him leave.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
We were talking about it last week.
Yeah, if you look at the names that are still out there on the market, and even the names in the draft, and then you're talking about a young linebacker, what you going to give him the mic and let him out there? I mean, what you see what I'm saying? I just don't know. Yeah. I just don't know. I really fear for this linebacker position. Last year going in, it was the offensive line that I was the most concerned about, and I don't feel like the linebacker position is going to be as big of a detriment as the offensive line was last year, but it's still going to be a problem. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, at least he fits the idea that a lot of people are thinking that we're going to be blitzing out of position a lot, right. Blitzing defensive backs, blitzing linebackers from the inside. Right. So, in that sort of scheme, I guess he does fit. And, yep. Just like I do with every signing, although I was a little more high on last year's signings, especially for the money we were getting them for. But, I didn't expect Azeez to have 150 freaking tackles at the end of the year. I was expecting somewhere around this kid's production. So the fact that he hit, this kid might actually really surprise me. Pop off with 7 sacks and 85 tackles. And all right, now all of a sudden we're talking a whole different game. 12 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, maybe a fumble recovery, maybe an interception sprinkled in there. Yeah, bro. All right, now we're having a different conversation. Now we're talking about, all right, now we got a good young linebacker. He's only 25 too. So I don't know. I try to get excited about every player, but to be honest, this one for me was just a little hard to get excited about just because we let Azeez go.
Yep. And I was really sold on. I really like Jordan Brooks coming out. You've still got guys like Lavonte David out there, but he's 34 years old. So, but to your point, like you said earlier, the way you fix lack of talent is by having a good scheme. So, do I think that it's possible that Kenneth Murray could go out and play way above what we think his potential right now is? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. He's got the intangibles. He's got the athletic ability to do so. He seems like one of those guys that he's bought in. He said he can't wear number 9 next year like he did because you can't do that to Steve McNair, which as if they let him anyway. But yeah, no, it seems like a good guy. Seems like he's going to come in and do the best he can. I just hope the best he can is what we're looking for. But again, you've got to find, just like we talked about with Azeez, you've got to find somebody who can be that sidekick. And the way that it looks right now, he's your number 1 guy. So you either got to pair somebody with him, or you got to go somehow find a bigger name that you can pair him with. And right now it's looking like he's kind of your guy going into next season based on who's out there right now.
Yeah, so here's the scary thing. Right after they signed this kid, they tendered Gibby.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now, you don't tender a player unless you plan on keeping him.
Yep.
So that basically said, we're keeping Dr. Gibby.
Yep.
So if if you're looking for this kid to be a replacement for Azeez Al-Shaair, it's going to be a disappointing season, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I admit it, but I don't think I'm wrong here. I think this guy is not going to be nearly as good as Azeez. As bad as that sounds, I just don't think so. And honestly, I think his stats were a bit padded because he was on a Chargers defense. Not that the Chargers were any good, just saying that their offensive playtime was one of the lowest in the NFL. So their defense was on the field more than almost any team in the NFL. So, yeah, you're on the field more, you get more opportunities, you get more stats. So, I don't know. It's just like, back when we had 4-12 seasons and people would try to pull moral victories out of it and be like, oh, man, but look, our defenders are doing this and our defenders are doing that. And I'm like, well, yeah, when your defense is on the freaking team 3/4 of the game, it's real easy for them to get those padded stats. But anyway, I'm going off on a major tangent. The Titans came out yesterday and said that they had some things to announce, like a cute way of, saying all these guys are officially official, which was funny, on Twitter. But then they did it again today, and they literally retweeted themselves and said again, we're gonna make some announcements. And then they said Andre Dillard was released. And I was like, dang, y'all, I didn't know y'all were going to be announcing stuff like that, man. Oh, that's the best news I've heard all day. But the big news of that is it freed up almost $11 million in cap space. So we went back up to around 50 million, 50.3, I think is what we have. And to me, that says we got one more good move in our pocket.
So is there anybody you're looking at right now that you think could be a splash? Anybody that
a splash? The only one for me that would be a splash at this point would be Snead, but I just don't. I don't know unless that gets really close to the draft and they still haven't found a suitor for Snead.
Well, it'd have to be a trade. They signed him.
No, I know. Yeah. That's what I mean. But I think we've offered I think that the reports were accurate. I think we offered a 2025 third-round pick, and I think they declined it. Now, maybe there was like some more language to it, like we'll trade you this pick for this pick and this pick for this pick. But I think the hard-boiled potatoes of it was next year's third round, and they didn't like that. I don't think they liked it at all. And the Titans aren't going to come off their first or second round. We need those picks, period. We need those picks more than we need Snead. So really, it's going to come down to that, but if he's really close to the draft, they still hadn't found any trade suitors for him. Yeah, they're probably going to trade him off for a lot less value than they anticipated just because they don't want to carry that hefty contract.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
It gives them more wiggle room because they're going to have a little bit of wiggle room at least. It's like us. We got to save at least $20 million to sign, undrafted free agents, the new draft picks that come in. You need about $20 million to do that. So right now at 50 mil, that means we got about 30 mil to spend. That's why I say we got, either one more really big move or we've got 3, 4, even 7, 8 minor moves. There's a couple safeties out there. I think Marcus May's still out there. I think he would work okay in this defense. I think Chase Young's still out there. I wouldn't mind Chase Young on the defensive line. We definitely need that. Jerome Baker, my God, we need Jerome Baker. And I think that we were said to be rumored to be hot on him, and I think we were, along with there were a couple other people that we were really big. Michael Onwenu
Onwenu. I'm not gonna try. Yep.
I was gonna say, man, I was gonna say, y'all know who I'm talking about, the Patriots guy. And I really thought we had good potential to sign him. But once we gave Calvin Ridley $50 million, I mean, I was really happy that I saw that with Amy Adams, but let's get real, man. Amy Adams annually is worth like I think $2.8 billion a year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she ain't gonna be giving up $50 million to every player that comes on her team. That is a very big investment on her part for Calvin Ridley, and that all comes out of her wallet at the end of the day. So we can't, go offer Snead $30 million guaranteed on another deal. It just doesn't work.
Right.
Or I don't think it would. Maybe.
Yeah. For me, the names that are still out there that I'm looking for, Julian Blackman. I like that one when you're looking at safeties. I don't think he's signed anywhere yet. He's used to playing that single high safety, so he's kind of used to that island position. I feel like that could free Amani Hooker up. Obviously, it'd be a different scheme here in Tennessee. Yeah, it'd be a different scheme, but I feel like it's something that he could kind of fit into and adjust. And then if you're looking at linebackers, again, I don't love the options that are out there. I don't think they go for somebody like Levante David. Jerome Baker, that's somebody I could kind of see working out. He was ranked just above Aziz on the PFF list.
That's really our best option right now.
Yeah,
we got to get Jerome Baker.
Yep, and that's about it for me. And then
that's about it for me.
Yeah, and I mean cornerback. The only cornerback that I'm sold on, and I think they're in talks right now, but it would be Kendall Fuller. Really love the idea of Kendall Fuller being that other cornerback. I don't know. I know he's not officially signed. I think he's been in talks, but yeah, I mean you've got a lot of cap space. Not a lot of big names left. I feel like at this point, the guys that you've signed are going to be the guys you're going to roll with. I think these are going to be your big names. Could you see another splash? Possibly. I just don't see the money being there for guys like Chase Young. I just don't think it's worth it. So, yeah, I mean, I've been pretty happy with this offseason so far. Curious to see what they do with the draft. And like I said, it's not over, but I think most of the big names are out of the way. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like this is our revamped offense. This is our revamped offense and our partially revamped defense. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with you that there could be a couple more splash signings. But Chad Brinker right now is managing our books in a way that puts a lot of our stuff off to next year.
Exactly.
Next year is when a lot of these salary caps are going to start hitting.
Yep.
If we don't trade for Snead, then that means we'll have a full draft class for the first time since Rand Carthon's been our GM. And I feel like if we go really heavy offense in this class, which I feel like we will, I think we might see a corner, maybe a linebacker signed if we have that giant hole still by the time we hit the draft. But I think most of our picks are going to be offense. And I think it has to be that way to try to, like we said, maximize Levis's ability to show what he's got. But next year, with all those draft picks, I feel like our defense is going to be full of holes, and we're going to have a pretty solid offense, and then we're going to just flip it around and basically be drafting mostly defense. And if you look at I don't really look at college that much, especially that far in advance, but one of the guys I talked to does a lot, and he brought a lot of stuff to my attention. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, this draft is very offensive. We got a lot of offensive line depth, a lot of wide receiver depth. There's a lot of good cornerbacks, which just so happens to be what we need the most. So this draft for us is almost perfectly suited to give us what we need to be at that mid-range where, we can correctly evaluate Levis and possibly get into the postseason. I always have high hopes. I've even said 2 or 3 times in the last couple days because I get a little overhyped, but I've even said a couple times we'll see in the postseason. So obviously I have high hopes, but again, I'm an optimist. Y'all know this by now. I mean, I said we were going to win like 10 to 12 games this year, and oh man, that stung. It really stung online where people were like, hey, remember when you said this? And I was just like, yeah, I do. But, I'll own up. I was wrong, bro. We were terrible. And I'm hoping that we got rid of the cancer that was causing that. By the way, other news that came out that doesn't involve the Titans in any way, but I kind of respect the dude a little bit. So Mike Vrabel got a job today. defensive consultant for the Browns, I believe. I'm sure it's not a really illustrious or high-paying job, but let's face it, he doesn't really need money because he's getting plenty from the Titans.
Yeah, this to me just screams him trying to get his foot back in the door to coaching, just trying to get in some good graces, because I feel like a lot of owners out there did not want to go through that experience with him. They saw what he was like at the Titans, and in 3 years, I feel like if we're talking about him in a coaching position, it's going to be like, oh yeah, that's why you didn't like him in the first place. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I'm happy for him. Glad he's employed now, so that's good. Never want to see anybody unemployed, but whatever. I don't know.
I'm sticking to my guns. I really believe in my heart of hearts that next year Ohio State's going to lose to Michigan yet again, and they're going to fire their head coach, and they're going to call Mike Vrabel, and he's going to be the new coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he's going to do well, I believe, in the college level at Ohio State. I think he will actually do well.
All right, clip the man. Bold predictions. I love it.
So, I think that does it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around with us. If you're still with us, man, go like us on YouTube. Subscribe. That's really where we need some help and some support. If you want to help us out, that's the best way to do it. I think we're going to take a little break until the draft. A couple weeks before the draft, look out for some announcements for a draft special that I'm trying to get going. Either it'll be us or us and some other people. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, good show. Anybody obviously wants to follow us, you should know by now. Titans Global Podcast, pretty much anywhere you get your stuff. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Everywhere, we are there. And if you want to follow me personally, Maximus Titan Fan on Twitter and Facebook. If you want to follow my dude Link, it's Link Rogers on Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, man, I don't know. I'm a little that we're not going to be here for the next couple weeks. But hey, if something big happens or if really anything happens, I'm going to drop a little short video or something. I can't help myself. So anything you want to add, Link?
No, we're good. I think we're good. Again, just make sure you guys stay tuned. Big things in the works. Going to have the draft coming up. We're getting closer. We're almost there, guys. I mean, this was the first big step getting through this off season. I miss football just as much as the next guy. So we'll see. Some of those spring leagues are starting up. I might have to scratch my itch a little bit with that. But again, just make sure to stay tuned. Anything that happens, we're going to have you guys covered. So just stay up to date, and we'll be in touch.
All right, guys. And as always, tighten up.
Tighten up.
Peace out.